Okay, so first off, much love to the Palmetto State Armory, where I just picked this rifle up. I'm kind of interested in the idea of a budget precision rifle, mostly because a friend asked me, said, hey, if I wanted to get into shooting, distance shooting with a rifle, what would you recommend I buy? And I had to kind of think about it for a little while, you know. I shoot distance a little bit, not frequently, mostly in 308 and in some other calibers that I reload. And I thought about it for a while, and I figured to myself, well, you know, I should probably test out maybe a budget rifle myself before making a recommendation on it. So I went out and I bought a Ruger American, which is this platform right here from the Palmetto State Armory. This is a 20-inch barrel, and it is in 308 caliber. 308 Winchester, or 7.62 by 5.1. And honestly, first impressions, it's a pretty neat looking little rifle. Has an internal box magazine. I think it's 5 rounds, might be 3, and I'll double check on that. But itty bitty little gun, fires a moderate round. And so I'm going to slap some rings on this thing and put the scope that I bought for it as well. It's a Diamondback Vortex 3 by 3 to 9 by 40. Altogether, this is about $700 there for a starting package at entry level bolt action rifle and scope. So this is going to start off this right here. These are Burris 1-inch rings, and they're medium. So you can get these low, you can get them high, you can get them medium. Basically, that's where they sit on the rail, how high up they go. And yeah, I would just get medium personally, just to test out where they're at, especially if you're just starting. You don't know exactly where your cheek weld is going to be on the stock. So we're going to install these real quick, crack these open. Don't remember how much these were, but again, much thanks to Palmetto Armory. Found them there. They were just sitting. So we're going to be installing those rings on this rail right here. And basically they need to be far enough apart that they actually fit on the scope. And this came with an Allen wrench that fits, so I won't have to use any excess tools to tighten these down. So after getting the rings on, you just need to remove the top of the rings right there. See how they're on and the top portion's been taken off, and that allows us to actually seat the scope right in there. And this is a Vortex optics scope. I personally really like Vortex. They've always done well by me. But yeah, so when mounting this, you just want to make sure that you've got good clearance. Nothing's going to mess around with the ejection of that rifle, right? And you want to make sure that you're actually dead center. So I'm just going to seat this on here, the top of these rings. I'm going to seat those right in there, and we're going to tighten it down just a little bit, but not dead center yet. And then I'm going to take a look down that optic and make sure that it is center, and then we'll seat it completely. Alright, so she's all seated in there. You can see that everything's screwed down nice and tight. She's dead center. I would recommend just making sure that everything really is just in there really tight. So obviously when you fire, there's a lot of motion that happens with that weapon, a lot of pressure that occurs, and there's a lot of moving around action that happens. You don't want to lose your center. You don't want to lose your sight picture with the scope and have to re-zero everything every time you go shooting. So just make sure everything is nice and tight. The higher end the scope is, basically the easier it's going to be able to deal with that. Kind of move around, the less you're going to have to zero it or screw around with it. But yeah, this should do just fine. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do with this rifle is go ahead and actually put a bipod on it. So we've got our ghost rings on there, we've got our optics sighted in, everything's looking pretty good, and we just need to put this bipod up on the front. This is a Caldwell Shooting Supplies XLA 9-inch to 13-inch bipod, and honestly, it was just the first one that I saw there, so I picked it up. Again, this is just a budget gun, so this is, I think it was about $40. So yeah, we'll go ahead and pop this open, and we will put this on the gun. Alright, so when we're installing this, you see these two tongs right here on the front. These two tongs actuating right now in the video, they're going to be right in this front end here, the bipod mount. You can see it a little bit better there. So we're going to actuate those tongs, I'm going to put that on there, and then we're going to tighten it down. Bam! And that's as simple as that process gets. So for $750, we now have a fairly decent product here. This is that Ruger American in 308. Got our scope mounted, got our bipod on. I'm probably actually going to spend the rest of the night polishing the bolt on this weapon, just because, I mean, it doesn't look awful, but there are some machining, pretty easily to see machining marks on it, which is, I mean, what you're getting when you're paying $450 for a rifle. But yeah, I am not too displeased, so I'm going to take this out tomorrow. I'm going to test a couple of different versions of 7.62 by 5.1 through it. We're going to see exactly what kind of groupings we get. And then I'll be able to give a good articulation to my friend in regards to this.